Hey, Christine.
Jeff,
How you
so good to
doing?
see you.
Yeah, good to see you. Oh, let me turn your volume down a little bit. You're a little bit high.
Okay.
Yeah. So I am really anxious to talk to you. I was so sad to miss it this year.
I know we missed you too.
Yeah, it was
Wasn't
such a
quite the
bummer.
same without you there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So how did it go? Tell me about it.
It went so well. I probably like a similar feeling to you that you probably have when you finish a portrait and it's really good and you know it's good. I
Mm-hmm.
felt like we got to Sunday and we ended with Rose Franson and Scott Burdick painting. They were terrific. And just that feeling of, job well done. And the community of artists there were really energized. And we had like a really variety of young people, people from all over the world. I think we had like 23 countries, 42 states, and
Wow.
young and older and emerging and professional. It was just everything about it was really good this year.
Do you feel like you had more young people this year than usual?
We did have more young people this year than usual. About 3 years ago, at our annual board meeting,
Mm-hmm.
we talked about how the Portrait Society really needed to address and appeal to younger artists.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started the Future Generations, that competition for 18 to 23-year-olds. And then we started the Next Generation on Thursday night, where young people demonstrate in rooms and it's sort of a flow. And it just seems to have attracted, it's helped to attract that. And then as you get more young people, you get more young people. So
Right,
the
right.
first year I felt like you could kind of see it. And then the second year, people were commenting on it. And then this year, you could see it in the hallways. So it was really good.
Wow. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, and that's important for an organization. Here we are almost, 28 years old in February. We'll be 28 years old. You have to really think about your future. You can't just always rest on where you are and what you're doing. You have to just try to, have a crystal ball and look forward and say, we need to really be bringing in new artists, even as we're connecting professional artists to emerging artists. We want to keep doing that, keep bringing in the new artists.
Yeah, man, I'm surprised that your first go at it worked.
Yeah, me
That's pretty
too. I
remarkable.
think the Future Generation competition helped, and that first place winner comes and they accept a medal on stage that Don Whitelaw actually designed and Alicia Ponzio made, and it's really terrific. It's like a tilted compass
Mm-hmm.
and sort of symbolizing, mentor and mentee relationships. And when my late husband Ed Jonas was coming up as an artist, there wasn't anything like the Portrait Society. There wasn't anything like this Future Generations competition where you could connect with established artists and learn from them. There's just nothing, as Jeff, there's nothing like the mentor-mentee relationships.
Mm-mm.
And I think the Portrait Society is in a sort of a planned way to do that, an official way to do that. And there's nothing like what you can pour your own experience into a new artist. And I can't learn that at school.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of the universities aren't even teaching any kind of traditional techniques. They're, use your paint right out of the tube. There's no learning what values are and, warm and cool. And so a lot of artists like yourself and Tony Ryder, Stephen Comnati started forming all these ateliers so that they could keep that classical education going. And I think the Portrait Society just is a conduit to bring people together like that.
Absolutely. You know, I
Yeah.
just I just had an experience, well, multiple experiences recently that have really testified to me that this mentorship thing really is important because my son, I mean, I've had hundreds of students, but for some reason when it's your kid, I don't know, because I watched him grow up, it's easier to see his evolution. You know, I know him better than
Yeah.
anybody, right?
It's a different tether. It's
Right.
a different tether.
So he comes home from his mission, starts studying painting with me. But he's also doing things that I'd like to do on the side, like woodworking, leatherworking, metalworking. And it's crazy. I'll share something with him and he'll just pick it up and he now knows it. And I think back and I'm like, it took me, like, for example, he made a leather bag the other day and I helped him with it and just showed him all the things not to do, right? All the things to avoid.
Yeah.
And it took me like 100 leather pieces in order to get to that level.
Tries to do it's so
Because I had to
true.
learn on my own.
And
I had
you
to make
just
so many
handed him this
mistakes.
nugget of information.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's the same
yeah.
with drawing. It's the same with drawing. Watching him learn how to draw. It's like I made so many mistakes and you just tell
Yeah.
him and he just gets it and he moves on, you know? I mean, he's quite a fast learner, but still that mentorship thing is so
Yeah,
important. And the great thing
it
about
is.
the Porch Society of America is what are there like 27 artists or something on the faculty? How many?
Yeah, we had 28 this year.
28.
So
That's
that's the
28
range. It's
people.
between 25 to 30. Yeah.
To meet 28 great painters and sculptors.
Yeah.
That's
We had Jeff Larson, last year's
Yeah.
Draper Grand Prize. He came and taught for us. We had a couple new people. Micah Burke came and did egg tempera. We had never done that before. Maria Robinson and Ali Kavanaugh came and did hands-on watercolor. Alicia Ponzio did a hands-on sculpture. And Dan Thompson did a hands-on drawing workshop. So we had
Wow.
wide variety
Yeah.
and also wide variety of mediums too. So, I just felt like, and like what you're talking about, when you do something for so many years, you think that we wouldn't be discovering anything new, but it did seem like we discovered something new this year, bringing in young people, bringing in hands-on, and then also these faculty that leave their studio because, as you know, Jeff, we don't pay the faculty.
Right.
We could never keep our tuition. Our tuition's in the 500 range for 4 days of an unbelievable experience. I mean, even just one of our experiences would be great. But when you add workshops like Oliver Sen did this wonderful drawing demo and people could bring their supplies and draw along with him and he did instruction. So any one of those standalone would be great, but then we end up doing like 30 programs. And so you're just so right. You don't know what that aha moment is going to be for people, but you do know what you're handing down to them is something that these faculty members have learned through their own experiences. And I do think that does create a community because we keep the tuition low. We try to make it affordable. The faculty come and they donate their time. There's like a sense of community. It's not a us and them. And we just encourage artists when they come, you're on the elevator, introduce yourself to that faculty person. They are not setting themselves aside. They are willing to share whatever they know with you. And I don't know, it was a synergy with the faculty this time that was really good.
You say like a sense of community. I was being tortured the entire weekend. And I'll tell you why. Because I told everyone I was going and then I had the family issues and couldn't go.
Yes.
And between guests and faculty, I had texts and emails.
People were like, where are you?
Like, where are you? We're having, or like Simi from Rosemary Brushes, or I guess it would be workshops at Yorkshire now.
Right.
Oh, all right, meet us at this restaurant. We're all having dinner. And I'm like, oh, friggin' son.
I'm not there.
I'm just sitting here in my studio all by myself. But that you're right. There's that sense of community. It wasn't just faculty either. There were guests from past that I got messages from, and it really is like a family over there. It's great.
Well, you're coming next year because we've
I'm
already
coming.
got we got some plans in the works.
Good. I can't wait to hear it.
How did you like my idea about the art talk?
Yeah. I can't wait to
The
hear
late night
more.
art talk. I think that sounds really good. And I think we should, we should live stream that. I think that'd be really fun for, and it'll be a late night program and people could ask whatever they wanted. We could have 8 or 9 faculty up there with you. And it could just be like all the questions that you really want to ask, but you don't want to raise your hand and ask. And I think it'd be really cool.
I do too.
Just call it
That'd
late
be
night
cool.
art
Do you
talk.
want to, I mean, I'm sure Micah's in. I haven't asked him yet.
Yeah. Okay.
But we can sort of tentatively say what it is because I was actually just talking to Micah a couple weeks ago and saying, Micah, you got to get to the Porch Society. And he's like, well, they just need to invite me and I'll come. So I'm sure he's in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So what, tell me, or tell everybody what you think we're going to do, what we might do.
So yes, so we have this idea that we've been cooking up where it would be an interview kind of style. And we would probably live broadcast this too. And so it would be an interview style with Micah, sort of centered around Sorolia and just an interview kind of format. And I understand he's an excellent speaker,
Oh my
full
gosh,
of
yeah.
knowledge about Sorolia. And so we could do images and an interview kind of style, and it would be an hour program, probably like on Sunday morning.
Mm-hmm.
And be something that we haven't really done before. And to have somebody with such a depth of knowledge about him, I think it would be really quite an appeal to it.
You know what we were talking about? We're brainstorm right in front of everybody here, but
I
Mike
know,
and I were
right?
talking about what would be really cool for him to do is a discussion, basically like you described, sort of an interview style discussion, but a discussion about just portrait painting throughout history. And
Okay.
so kind of
So sort of
comparing,
broaden it a little
yeah,
bit.
comparing and
Yeah.
contrasting and saying, the relevance of all this different types of portrait styles and why they were significant and why they evolved and so on and so forth. That's another
Oh, I
option,
like
maybe.
that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll brainstorm. But either way, we're going to
Okay.
try and get Micah there. That's the plan.
Okay. That sounds good.
Yeah, it's exciting.
We're going to just commit him right here.
Yeah, we're committing him. I know he would love it. If he doesn't, it would only because he can't. But I know he would love it.
He has a wonderful background. If people, listening don't know, but he really has a wonderful background. I think he'd be a great addition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would. Okay, so tell me about some of your favorite moments at the porch study.
Okay. Okay. So one of my favorite moments, and I'm glad you asked me that question because I was like, how can I work this into our chat? We gave a scholarship to a 12-year-old boy named Elliot. And in his scholarship application, he just wrote this wonderful application. And I'm just going to read you this little portion.
Okay.
He said, for the last year, I've been studying portraiture with John Darley, who recently received signature status. I tried drawing a portrait before I started working with John, and it looked like a kid cartoon. I didn't know what I was doing, but as I've learned to really see, now he's 12 years old, not just draw what I think I see, I've discovered that I can draw portraits that actually look like people. I don't know exactly what it all means yet, but drawing people's portraits feels like magic. And I was like, oh, I just love that.
Seriously.
Drawing people's portraits feel like magic. And he came, he took Alicia Ponzio's workshop. He did a fabulous bas relief of a head. And then he sat for Tim Rees and
Oh, is
Adrian
that the
Stein
model?
as their model. And
Okay.
so he was the youth portrait that they painted. And so, I mean, he'll never, ever forget that experience. We
No
just
way.
launched him. And so that was really one of my favorite experiences. Couple other highlights was something we'd never done before. Michelle Dunaway brought a portrait that she had gotten about 2/3 of the way through, and she brought the painting wet and her model and did the finishing touches. And we haven't, that takes a lot of preparatory. So she filmed the first part and showed her process, then finished it. That's takes a lot of effort. And so we'd never done that before. It was very, very well received. And then we had a couple anatomy programs that were really well received. And of course, Saturday night, the award recipients we do the Future Generations Award, the Signature Status, the International, and then we gave Excellence in Art Education to James Gurney. And, he's
Yeah,
such
I
a
heard
good
that.
speaker. He gave a very brief acceptance, but it was quite entertaining. The story he told about teaching a class, and he ended up bringing a live goat on the last day.
Wait,
And
what?
he's just-
This episode is brought to you in part by Rosemary Brushes. If you're one of my listeners who's a professional artist, you're already using Rosemary Brushes. But for the rest of you, come on. Take your work a little more seriously. Stop buying the other brands. It's just not worth it. Every now and then you may get lucky and buy a good brush from another brand, but Use the brand that professionals like myself are using. Go to rosemaryandco.com, link in the description or the show notes, and get yourself some quality brushes before your next painting. He brought a
So
goat?
he did, not to the conference, but he told the story about the class that
Oh,
he taught.
okay.
And then on the last day, he brought in a live goat. And it's a very entertaining story. And then we gave the gold medal to George Carlson. And, he's just a wonderful gentleman. And he's been painting and sculpting for over 60 years. He's got very prolific, has wonderful, wonderful work. So honored to do that. And then, of course, very, very exciting to have Frances Bell be awarded
Yeah, we should
the
pull that
Draper
up.
Prize.
We should pull hers up. Let's see. That was a remarkable portrait.
Oh, really remarkable.
So
Don't you just love
beautiful.
those yellow tennis shoes?
My
And
goodness.
I love the background, really challenging with those stripes and then the floor, another geometric element.
Hmm.
Those hands when they're folded like that, that's not an easy thing to do. A lot of times that looks really clubbish but
Oh yeah, it's just beautifully,
love it.
beautifully gestural. Man, yeah. Good choice. There's a
Yeah,
great,
really.
great group of artists there, though. It's always got to
There
be so
was, and
tough to
she was
judge.
the people's choice too. So that doesn't always happen. The Draper Prize is not always the people's choice, as you know
Mm-hmm.
from last year.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. So tell me about the face-off. How did that go?
It was great, Jeff. I mean, we had such an interesting group of people. So we had 18 artists painting and sculpting. We had Louise Weir. She was a finalist last year. You probably saw her portrait in the room, her sculpture, and she did a clay portrait. And then Michael Burt did egg tempera, and Ali Kavanaugh did watercolor, and Michelle
Allie's
Dunaway
watercolor turned out
Rose.
beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, she knocked it out of the
She
park.
really
Boy,
did. Yeah.
yeah. I think it went to live auction too, in the silent auction, part of that face off that the artists in there donate that. And we have a silent auction during the 6x9. And if there's active bidding, if someone's writing on a thing and there's someone behind them writing, we take
Mm-hmm.
it to a live bid. And I think hers went to live bid. And I think
Really, I've
there
never
were
seen the
two
live bid thing.
others.
Did you do that last year too?
Yeah. We did. Now they don't always go to live bid.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it just closes and that closes. But if you have two active biddings and you call time, it's not really fair to the person that was still
Oh, you
writing.
mean literally right at the
It's
deadline, there are people fighting
right
over
at
it.
the deadline, and then we go to a live auction. So one of our staff people just conducts, how what do you want to go to? Do you want to keep going? And then somebody usually says, okay, I'm out. And then
Really?
that other person wins it. It's kind of fun. We've been suggested that we should do them all in a live bidding, but I haven't ever been able to figure out the logistics for that. Because
Hmm.
you can imagine the logistics for an event this size. There's only 5 of us here in the office, and 2 are part-time, and
Oh, you
so
should though. They're
it's
so fun.
yeah, live auctions.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Yeah, they do
So we got
one
to
at the
figure that out.
Springville.
That would be really fun to do.
Yeah, there's a Springville landscape I can't think of the word. Just like competition
Uh-huh.
in central Utah. And they do a live auction on Sunday after the whole event took place. It's sort of a closing thing. Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. People get so into it. Yeah, that would be so fun.
That would be really fun.
Yeah.
The other great memorable event was Rose Franson and Scott Burdick painting on Sunday.
Oh my gosh, two
And
powerhouses.
I have to send you the video because Rose, I don't think it was planned at all, but Rose had been feeling a little down before the conference, and she just got so energized, and she just
Well, plus
turned
you made her do it in the
around.
morning.
I know she's not a morning
No,
person.
I couldn't believe I saw that in the schedule. I'm like, what? Rose agreed to that?
Yeah, yeah. And she actually like knelt down on one knee, and for about 9 minutes she just talked about what she's trying to say in her art and what it means to her. And she
Really?
was so vulnerable and honest. that, people were almost in tears. I know they applauded it, when she stood up and turned around and started painting again, because she just really was very vulnerable. And that's not a planned moment. You're usually focused on art, and she just talked about what being an artist means to her and what she's really trying to say, through her art. So I'll send you the
That would be
video. It's really
amazing.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rose
yeah.
always does a great job on stage.
She really does. She's so thoughtful too about
Hmm.
preparing and about what she wants to say about her process. I really admire her a lot.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Yeah.
So tell me about the banquet a little bit. Did you end up having a speaker there like you often do?
Oh, we didn't have a speaker this year because we kind of had a packed award program.
Hmm.
So what we did, the Future Generation artist came, and he was from, I think he's from Uruguay. And then we did signature status. So there was four signature status people, and they were all there. And then we did the international portrait competition. So, for those placements, we always start at the bottom, the exceptional merit, and we go up. And so it's kind of fun if people are paying attention and ticking off. You kind of know, narrowing down who's going to be next. And I don't know if you saw all the paintings, but they just were really just terrific, and variety of aesthetics. And Joseph Daly in there was a real traditional commission portrait, but I think that was one of his best works that he submitted. I don't know
Didn't
if you
he, what he
saw
win
it.
second place?
He won first place
First
painting.
place. Awesome.
Yes. And it's of the mayor of Philadelphia. And he's in a suit, but he's outdoors. And in the background is an area, a plaza, with the fountains where the kids are playing. I think they have one in Atlanta, and they just recently built one in our city too. And just terrific. And then Kate Brockman was awarded first place sculpture for her bust of N.C. Wyeth. And then David Jameson was awarded first place drawing for a drawing of his father, actually, who's a biologist. And the background's really interesting, Jeff. It's like this swirling, you're not really sure what it is, but then when you read the backstory, he's a biologist, and it's a representation of a slide, like a scientific slide.
Hmm.
And then we had a finalist from China, one from Rome, three from the UK. So it was really good show, and just love seeing them all on the big screen, and then also, in person. And then we did the award to James Gurney, and he spoke for a little bit. And then George Carlson, we made a film about him and his work, and then we zoomed him in because he wanted to come with his wife, and she's not traveling right now. So we brought him in by Zoom. So
What
it
is
was a
it? He
really
got a
nice
gold
evening.
medal? What is that?
So he got the gold medal. So that's the highest award that the Portrait Society gives. And so, between the Draper and the gold medal, and then the Excellence in Fine Art Education. And then we have one other one called the Leadership in Fine Arts. And we don't award all of them every year, but this year we did, three of the four. And so it's just a recognition it's like a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Okay.
So just recognition of your career. And then the education one is really, we've given it to a variety of people, institutions, and artists. And it's just people that we know, or institutions that are really just dedicated to educating artists. And so it's funny because James doesn't consider himself as an educator,
Or a
but
fine artist.
yeah, or a fine artist. And he said that
know,
in his
yeah.
acceptance speech, which was really interesting. But his YouTube channel, Gurney Journey, he has over 550,000 subscribers, and he regularly encourages people to paint outdoors and he gives wonderful instruction, how to paint a to-go kit, how to, paint outdoors, and just encouraging people to just keep painting.
Hmm.
So I think he's an educator.
Yeah, I would think so. Plus, he's
Yeah.
written at least 3 books that I know of. At
Oh
least,
yeah,
maybe more.
I think he's written and illustrated like 12 books. And
Well,
he
I'm just
just
talking
did an
about educational books.
Oh yeah, true, true. He
Right. I
just
don't know how many.
updated that I think an
Like how to
artist
draw or something?
sketching.
Artist sketching.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He did it
Oh,
actually with Thomas. His original edition was with Thomas Kincaid. When they were both young artists, they knew each other very, very well, and they wrote this book together. And then he just updated that book, sold it at the conference, and sold a lot of copies.
no kidding. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
great book. He was kind enough to send me a copy. It was really,
Oh, good,
yeah, it's a
good.
great, but everything he does is good,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
why you gave him the award.
I know, and he's such a good speaker too.
Yeah, he is. He's really entertaining.
Some of our best, he did two keynote presentations for us, and he did one opening. And there's some of our most memorable, presentations at the conference. He's really good. That he has quite a talent for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So how did the 6x9? Oh, do you call that an
It
auction?
was
Six
really
by nine
good.
auction?
So it's this, we call it the 6x9 mystery art sale.
Mystery art sale.
And
Okay.
so anybody that's listening that doesn't know what it is, it's so fun. So we had 138 donations this year, which is the most we've ever had. And so what we do is we invite previous faculty, award winners, and uh, finalists from the competition to paint these small little gems of artwork. They're measure 6x9, and they sign them on the back and send them in, and then we gather them all together and we display them on these big boards in the grand ballroom. And then at the appointed hour, we ring the chimes and the sale starts, and they're by number. And so everybody gets in front of the panel, who they think, and a lot of artists, you can identify their style.
Mm-hmm.
Last year we had a Burt Silverman, and people figured it out pretty quickly, and it was very crowded around that panel. And then, people just raise their hand, when the panel leader calls out a number that corresponds with an artwork. And then if there's more than one person that wants it, you take off your name badge and put it in a basket. And then the panel assistant pulls out that number or that name badge, and that person is the winner to buy it. They go and pay for it. And then when they come back, the panel leader takes that board off of the panel, and that's when they find out actually who the artist is. And it went great. We raised the most amount that we've ever raised. We raised $33,000.
Holy
And
moly.
I know, that's the most that we've ever raised. And the excitement was really great. And the organization this year, we had great volunteers. It just went so well. It's quite an event in its own, just the 6x9, the banquet, hanging, receiving the crates and displaying the artwork in the competition. All of those could just be standalone events on their own, and we put them all into one weekend. So, it's a lot of work, but for the attendee, they just get so much for the 4 days, between, the opening program at the Face Off, and then an all-day program on Friday. And then Friday night, Shane Wolf and Rob Liberace did a new demo for portrait artists. It was fantastic.
Wasn't that
Really,
like late
really
at
good.
night or something?
It was late at night.
Why
It was
was
8
that?
to 10. So what we do, we just only have so much time on the grand ballroom stage. And so we just put that on Friday night. We gave people a break between, it was a short break, I think between 7 and 8, to grab dinner and then come back in, some from 8 to 10. And it was really good.
Oh, someone
But
was speculating that maybe the hotel wanted it to be at night because it was a nude model. So when the hotel was quiet, there
no,
was nothing
they
like
don't,
that.
they don't, they don't really give us any restrictions at the hotel.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so, but and the pose was really good too. It was a man, and they kind of leaned him over and twisted him. And both the demos that Rob did and Shane brought this huge panel. It must have been, I think it was a little bit bigger than 30 by 40.
Jeez.
And he did just a terrific job. I loved it. I wanted to take it home.
Yeah, it was beautiful. I saw it online. And
Oh,
those two
did you see
together,
it?
yeah, those
Yeah,
two are
yeah.
so knowledgeable with anatomy.
I've been doing Jeff's online mentorship program for about a year now, and it is awesome. Everything is online, super streamlined. If you can be there, I mean, you have the ability to talk to him once a week and he can review your work and help you. If you can't be there, it's pre-recorded. You can go back and even re-watch things if you missed something during class or couldn't be there. So the online portion of it is almost better than real life because you can always go back to it, which is awesome. The demos are recorded. It's just like all available whenever you need it. And I'm a stay-at-home mom of 4, and my time is limited, and it's also very interrupted. And so to be able to go back has been clutch for me. And you get to work with Jeff Hein, who's awesome. He's tough. The assignments are simple, but difficult, and they're difficult to make us all better. And he's able to give us these assignments, coach us through it, help us stay excited to progress. And so it's just been a great experience. I am so grateful that he has been willing to take time away from his own art to offer all of us to have it. So if you're thinking about doing it, it's amazing.
To learn more about how you could have me as a personal mentor, check out the link to HEINatelier.com in the show notes or video description.
Yeah, what a great pairing that was.
Yeah.
Because Rob is very structured and Shane is structured, but in a different way. And so that was a really good pairing.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at some of the photos that you sent me.
Okay, let's do.
Maybe you can tell me about
Francis
what some of
Bell.
these things are. So what is happening here?
So that was Paul Newton, Tim Rees, and Dominique Medici, and it was immediately sold out when we announced it. They did a panel on color. And so Paul showed his palette and how he mixes it. Tim had a wonderful presentation, and so did Dominique. So they each just divided the time and had an individual presentation, and then they did a Q&A. So, I'd like to probably repeat that topic because, like I said, when we opened the class, it was immediately full. Really, really good. Value
That's
of color.
great. And then this is that 12-year-old boy.
Love it. That's Elliot, 12-year-old
Yeah.
Elliot. And then Adrian Stein and Tim Rees painted him. They have a very different approach, but they both did a wonderful job. And it's funny because when we called to ask him to be a model, we talked to his dad, and he said, well, I think he would do it if he could, wear his ear, pods and maybe, have something to look at. And we said to him, he's going to want to hear every single thing that those artists have to say. He's not going to need a distraction. I am sure he soaked it all in.
Yeah, I don't see any AirPods in his ears.
No. So
that's such a cool opportunity. Man, 12 years old.
Can you imagine?
Holy moly.
Yeah.
What a lucky kid. And then you talked about this one
Rose
already.
and Scott. Yeah, really, really great. Oh,
man, Scott really laid on the paint on this one.
Yes, he did. He
Holy
did. And did you
moly.
see his piece that was in the finals? There was a lot of paint laid in on that.
Oh yeah,
too.
he's been doing that lately, but to do it
He
in a
has.
demo, what was he like? Was he using a palette knife? Or I mean,
Yeah, for some he was, yeah. And he he is one of the least I don't know how to phrase it, but for a faculty artist, he doesn't really ask us for anything at all. He just comes in, Jeff, he has his backpack on his back, and he sets up and starts painting. He's just and the things that he shared about his process and about his thoughts about art are really good. I'll send you that video too. It's really, really good.
Yeah, that's one of the ones I really sad I missed.
Yeah, it was great.
And this one too, anytime Kwong paints.
Yeah, so that was Kwong and Kevin McPherson. And this is something different too. I forgot to talk about this. So they had painted the same model, but they each added a different background. And so Kevin added, if you see to the right of the model, there's a half a beer
Yeah.
on the stand there. He did an interior bar scene, and then Quan made up a beach scene for the background.
Oh, interesting.
And that was something that they talked about that they wanted to do, and they were able to execute it. I wasn't quite sure how they were going to do it, but they did it, and it was terrific.
I'll have to look at those. Is that on the website? Are there paintings on the website?
It is. Yeah, and the finished ones, I don't know that the finished ones are up there. I'll send them to you. They're really good, really good.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay, and you talked about
And
this,
Oliver Sin, you know, he's so energetic, and he actually sent out a supply list, and we set up tables in that room, and so it was classroom style, and he gave instructions, and people could follow along. And I think the hands-on was really people really enjoyed that.
So in the classroom style ones, what's generally the limit for the number of students?
Well, that one we limited to 60.
Okay.
Yeah, and you know, people,
That's
when you
still
have
a lot of people.
Yeah, when you have 750 people and you have a class, it's only 60. Yeah, people really not too happy about that, but you know, I don't want to not offer it. And Oliver's such a good teacher. It was really good.
Yeah. And
Oh, Mary White did
yeah.
Yes, oh, she's so great. She did a pre-conference watercolor workshop, and that another time it immediately sold out. She's a really thoughtful instructor, and you know, she stayed during lunch and talked about her business practices, so that was appealing to people. And then, you know, Jeff, I don't know if you know, but you know, her exhibit, We the People of the 50 large scale watercolors. She's now formed a foundation called the Patriot Foundation, and it's all about teaching veterans watercolor for free. And so
Really?
she has ambassadors all around the country, and she's, you know, given them instruction, and they teach veterans for free. And then she also provides the supplies. It's a really wonderful 501c3. She's really making a big difference.
You know, I told you, but the reason I didn't come is because my dad, who's a veteran, was put in a home.
Oh, and, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Jeff.
he's finally he's doing good though. But it was drama. I mean, because my mom was a mess. My mom was a mess. She swore she'd never let him go into a home, but it got too impossible for her to take care of him. But it just made me so appreciative that this home really takes care of its vets. It's such a great place that he's at, and they just really care about their vets. I mean, it's so cool that she's doing this. I mean, when you die for or you're willing to die for your country, to have opportunities
when you're willing
like
to
this.
Do that. Yeah. You should be taken care of.
You should be taken care of. Yeah. That's really awesome. Good for her.
I love, you know, Mary had, when her opening of that exhibit, she had it on a aircraft carrier. She had the opening reception on an aircraft carrier, and many of the models from her 50 large scale painting watercolors came, and it was such a moving experience. Kim here in the office went to the opening, and she said it was kind of this groundswell when they revealed the book. People started taking the book around and asking the veterans to sign the page where they were the model. And she said, you know, she talked to some of them, and a lot of them did suffer from post-traumatic, and it was quite the experience to sit for their portrait. And then, of course, on Mary's website for the Patriot Foundation, there's a lot of testimonials about what learning to paint has meant to them and how it's wonderful therapy. And so, yeah, I think she's doing great work.
Yeah, that's amazing. And then we got Myro Robinson here.
Yeah, so he did a hands-on watercolor workshop too. Now we limited that to 42, so that
42. That's a random number.
Yeah, that wasn't very many. Yeah, it was sold out too, and he's really a wonderful artist, person, and instructor. So I got great feedback about his class.
Yeah, he's salt of the earth, good guy.
Yeah, he really is. Oh, Frances Bell. She was so moved.
Yeah, I gotta text her and congratulate her. And then this is
And then Dan Thompson did, he did a drawing workshop, also a hands-on one instruction. And I think he had 60 in there. I don't know how he did it. And then he also did a pre-conference workshop and he had 30 in that. I think you did a podcast with him, didn't you,
I
Jeff?
did. I've done a
He
podcast
is-
with everyone we've seen so far, pretty much.
Oh, you have?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
great. He is really articulate about the process of art, and I just really enjoy talking to him. He's so knowledgeable. He's so smart.
Oh, he is. Yeah. He's got a very high vocabulary. It was hard to keep up with him in the podcast.
Yes.
I had to ask him to
Yes.
define a few words.
Yeah.
Okay, and
I
Jeff
think that's fun to
Larson.
talk to somebody like that, though.
Oh,
you
it
know,
is.
I find it really engaging for my brain.
Okay, so this is Jeff Larson, Ruth Fitton,
Yes,
and then I'm not
wonderful
familiar with this
program.
gentleman.
Kevin McPherson.
Okay.
Yep. And Ruth Fitton. And they did a panel discussion about composition. It was really good. They each took a different tact on it. Kevin McPherson has this thing called the Magic Grid. And then Jeff actually took a historical look at it. He went back and gathered a lot of portraits through history and took a look at composition that way. And then Ruth did a more personal turn on it. She took some of her work and did an evaluation on why she made some of those choices. It was a really good program.
Yeah,
I know
that's
I
a
keep
great
saying
photo.
that. I know
The
I
look
keep
on her
saying that,
face
but-
looking at him is just great.
Yeah.
And this is
Oh, this was great. So what we did here, Alicia Ponzio, sculptor, Rob Liberace, who is just a wonderful teacher and painter, expert on anatomy, and he does some sculpting too. And then Louise Weir, who's a sculptor, and they did a panel discussion. They divided their time and each did a presentation, and they did a Q&A on anatomy. And they all just took a very different approach to it. And it was really good. I think they had 110 people in there.
I would not want to do an anatomy lecture with
wouldn't?
Rob Liberace.
Oh yeah, yeah.
God, he's a
Yeah, but-
freaking encyclopedia.
He really is. He really is.
And for all the young
But you know
listeners,
what?
encyclopedia is a book with information in it.
And did you have them when you were growing up? Because we had
course.
the A through Z.
Yeah, we didn't have a
And,
computer till I was like 20.
Yeah, and I love those encyclopedias. You know, the one that had the one with the body in it, and then it
Mhm.
had like the plastic layered sheets.
Yep, we had
So,
those.
Yeah, the young people that are listening have no idea what we're talking about.
Means he's really smart.
Yep.
Yeah, that would be tough.
And
But I assume they are
but
too
you
if they're
know,
sculptors.
That whole thing about being an expert on anatomy, I think it lends to the movement that Rob gets in his portraits.
Yeah.
They're not, you know, they don't feel static at all. And I think because he knows how the bones are and the muscles that lay over them, and you know, even just his drawings, you know, they imbued movement to me.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's see. What do you got here?
Oh, this is Alicia Ponzio's sculpture workshop.
So
She did a
she's doing
bas
relief
relief.
sculpture. Okay.
Yes, and do you know what, Jeff? She built those stands and brought the clay. So it was $55 supply fee for them. And
Where does she live?
She lives in California, and
She
she
drove?
shipped them.
Oh, she
Nope.
shipped them.
She shipped them, and then she pre-cut all the wood. And then when she got on site, she put them together. So they were little easels, upright easels. And then she brought the clay, and people absolutely loved it. I mean, people came up to me. She only had 28 students in there, and they could not stop talking about it.
That's great. Yeah, I've always wanted to take a workshop with her. I run into her every now and then at Scottsdale Artist School.
Now, have you ever done a podcast with her?
No, I've never done sculptors.
Oh, you should
That's
do
why I don't
one
know.
with her.
Like I commented about how smart Robert Liberace is because he was the only painter on the stand. So like, I don't know a lot. I have sculpted, but I don't know a lot about sculpture. So I've never,
Yeah.
I don't even know what I would ask, you know? So
Yeah.
that's why I don't
Yeah.
really do
Yeah.
sculpture.
Yeah.
So
Is it just me or the rest of you guys also get weirdly excited when you order new paint? Because I don't know about you, but when I get paint in the mail, it feels like Santa just dropped my Christmas presents off at my doorstep. With Vasari paint, my paint of choice and the podcast sponsor, it's even more exciting. And let me show you why. Because when Vasari shows up, it comes in this incredible box where each tube lays in this little compartment perfectly formed around the tube in this nice soft foam. And it's surrounded by velvet, red velvet. Now you got to ask yourself, if a paint comes so carefully protected and surrounded by red velvet, you got to wonder if this paint is worthy of royalty. It is. Vasari is. So if you haven't tried Vasari, you're seriously missing out. And the thing about Vasari, it's not only the best paint out there, it's also made by an incredible company that's been around for 30 years and knows its customer by name. Do yourself a favor, go to vasaricolors.com and order yourself some for your next painting.
She's really good. She's
remarkable.
and she does a lot of her own mold making and pouring, casting. Which
Really?
it's
Wait, bronze
yes.
or plaster?
Yes, she does and bronze.
She has her own foundry?
She doesn't have her own foundry. She has a place that she goes to.
Oh, okay.
And she does her own chasing and her own
Wow.
patina.
Good for her.
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. It's quite an art, you know.
It is.
I mean, that's a category. Being a patineer is a category all on its own.
I don't know. If I were sculpting, I would insist on it because that's a huge part of the art.
It's a huge part of the art. Really, really huge. And you know, there was a the name has escaped me, but I think his name was Patrick. He was a professional patineer and he did a book and it published all of his mixes. And it's really fascinating. It's like a chemistry experiment.
Yeah, it really is.
You know, how you get those, you know, greens and the browns and the really dark black. And this is Allie Kavanaugh. She did a hands-on watercolor and it was a wonderful presentation and how she prepared it. So she actually pre-filmed her demonstrating so that she could then actually talk over that.
That's
so,
smart.
You know, and that is so smart because, you know, people listening, I don't know, they may not have demoed in front of a large crowd. It's not the easiest thing to paint and talk.
That's an understatement.
Yeah. And so she got that part out of the way by pre-filming it. Really, really smart. And she said, she came up to me and told me it was very, very well received. And it allowed her to really be able to articulate her thoughts because she didn't have to paint and talk at the same time.
Well, the other nice thing about it, because I've done it with my online students as well, is you can speed it up if you want to through the really grueling, boring
Oh,
part.
that's true. Yes. Yeah, that's true.
And you can fit a 6-hour demo into 2 hours by speeding up all the really boring, drawn out, unnecessary parts.
Yeah.
That's great. That's a good idea. And then I think that covers it. And then we have, again, the Draper Prize.
Francis Bell.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what are you thinking about? Do you know anything about next year besides what we've already talked about?
I do. Well, I know a couple of things.
Okay.
So know the dates, April 9th through the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
And back to Atlanta at the Grand Hyatt Atlanta. And I'm just starting to do the program now. I've identified quite a few faculty. We like to do a balance of bringing back people, but then also new people, and then try to cover a lot of mediums too. And so, and then for the breakout sessions, something that we learned this year, you wouldn't think after 27 years we would still be learning, but we really are, on how to improve the flow of programs and the setup for programs, is we're going to have a room for hands-on, you know, and it'll be limited, but, you know, we're limited by the walls, you know, so, and then we'll have a room set up for a demo for a breakout, and then a room for these panel discussions. And I think I'm going to do another something about composition. I think it's really important. because I think sometimes people that are just starting out may think that just happens for people, but there's a lot of planning that goes on behind it. And there's a lot of, I don't know if you want to call them rules, but there's a lot of guidelines that if you could follow is going to help you be successful in composition. So I do think composition is important. I think color is a really complicated subject. And so I can't resist ever having something about color. And then, we always want to do something different for demos. So I'm still brainstorming. So if you have any ideas for that, I love this late art talk that we're talking about doing. We probably would do that on Friday night. And then, having Micah, I think would be great. So we still have some more planning to do. We're going to try to release it by August 15th, a little bit earlier than what we've done in the past. But I think we just keep building and building, and I'm encouraged by where we are, with the Portrait Society. We've added some new board members. We just had a retreat where we're going to start to do a rebranding. And so, yeah, I'm really excited about it.
And so you just get home and get right back to work on the next one?
We just get right back to work. My staff is like, what?
Really?
But we do. We just get right back on it.
That's wild.
I know.
So you're literally planning this thing for an entire year.
We are. Kim and I are meeting at 2:00 today, and then we'll start making calls. So
That's wild, man.
I know.
Well, it shows, because I've said this a million times, but it's remarkable. I mean, you guys are the best at what you do.
Well, thanks.
Yeah.
It's really important to us. It's really ended up being my life's work. And, Kim, just last week, it was her 24th year anniversary. Amanda's been here for 21 years, Carrie for 9, Allison for 6. So, it's all very important to them, and they do a great job. And, once we get to the conference, you probably remember, the on-stage managers, they've been coming for 15, 16, the same people.
The
And
tech guys, you mean?
Yeah, well, the tech guys, those are the same people, but Gina and Lauren that are on the stage
Oh,
that
yeah,
help you
yeah.
guys set up, they've been coming for us for years.
I don't
They just
remember anyone
volunteered.
besides them.
Yeah, they've been doing it for years.
Yeah.
And Crystal and Kristen and Randy and John, Kim's husband, sets up the gallery. So it is this group of people behind the scenes that really, it's so important to them, and they're really dedicated. They've gone on to other professions, and they still take 4 days vacation and come and set up and run all the programs.
Oh, is that how that
and
works? So they're not part
That's
of
how
it
it
every
works.
day. They just show up for the conference.
They're not. They just come once a year, and they've continued to come.
Really?
There's about 12 of them, and they live all over the country. Gina is an artist in her own right. She makes prosthesis, and Lauren Miller is an artist and a tattoo artist.
I didn't know that about either of them.
Yeah, and Crystal has PhD. She works at the Smithsonian, and so they just, they had some kind of initial contact with the Portrait Society, either worked for us or interned for us, but then they've gone on to their own careers. Randy is in development for Florida State University. Kristen is in development for Towson University, and they take 4 days out of their life, and they come. They feel very connected to the community there, and it's really important to them that it's a good show.
That's quite a blessing for you guys, because I imagine it'd be hard to train somebody new.
We could not do it without them. There's no question
Yeah.
that we could not do it without them.
Yeah, wow, that's great.
And then we have this secondary group, about 35 volunteers, and they come and actually are door monitors all over the place. And you'll see them this year. They had like volunteer, lanyards on. And what they do is they actually trade. So they work for us a day and a half, and they attend a day and a half. And so we couldn't do it without them either. There's about 35 of them.
Yeah.
And then the state ambassadors, they all come. I think there was about almost 30 of them there this year. And they do badge pickup, and then they have a luncheon meeting together. But, they're a great group of people where they volunteer in their state to sort of run on things on a local level.
Yeah.
And that's I think it's been around for about 16 years. So.
And then there's Christina Haven for the past 2 years has been doing the social media. She's a trip.
Don't you love her?
She's so funny.
She did great.
Yeah.
You
She's
know,
very outgoing.
Caleb did it for many years. And then Caleb and Christina did it together. And now Christina's doing it on her own. And I thought she was great. It was like you know, she was just taking you through the whole program as if, you know, you were on her shoulder going through. So
She's a good choice
she did
because
great.
she's so outgoing. She doesn't have a
Yeah, she
shy
really
bone in her
is.
body.
Nope.
So she'll be back next year?
She'll be back next year.
Yeah, well, it's in her hometown next year, so that's convenient.
Yeah, close by.
Yeah. Well, that was awesome. It's great to have you back on the podcast. Just consider it an open
Thanks for
invitation.
having me. I enjoyed
Before and
it.
after every year, we'll have you back if
Yeah,
you're okay
yeah.
with it. That'd be great.
I would love it.
That'd be awesome.
And you'll be there next year, right? We're already planning. I'm signing
planning
you
it
up.
even if I'm not invited. So, because I was so sad this year
You're
to miss you
invited.
guys. So
We missed you too.
I'll be back for sure. So
That's great.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Undraped Artist Podcast. If you enjoyed it, subscribe. And if you could, leave a comment or review. That really helps the channel. Please share the show with your friends, and if you're feeling generous, consider a monthly donation at theundrapedartist.com. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week.